Let's start with creator here first. So this one is directed by Gareth Edwards, like I had mentioned, and it stars John David Washington, Gemma Chan, you have Ken Watanabe in here. It's honestly, and I would be remiss not to mention Allison Janney, because I didn't even know she was in this movie until I was watching it, and I was quite shocked. But this is a movie that is kind of this sci-fi epic, and there's a couple of different things that are really amazing about this film. It's essentially set against the backdrop of this war between humans and AI. A former soldier, who is John David Washington, finds the secret weapon, a robot in the form of a young child. And this child, this artificially created individual, is the key to basically stopping the war between the humans and the AI. And so that's why it's of utmost importance that John David Washington's special ops character, from the Western world, kind of invades New Asia in kind of these dark, dreary, almost akin to the Vietnam War like sequences to find this weapon, this child who poses a threat, they think, to all of humanity. So it's dealing on a couple of different levels where you feel like the whole intention behind it is kind of basic. It's foundational at best. How are they going to be able to give life to such a generic looking story on paper? And they do it spectacularly. I mean, this is a movie that is on a mid-sized budget. I'm talking $80 million. And it looks like some of the movies we've been getting recently that are $200+ million. So that portion of this was absolutely stunning and jaw-dropping. There are some visuals here, especially in the first 45 minutes, that I could not take my eyes away from the screen. I mean, honestly. And so with all of that foundational work laid, how did I feel about the actual story? AI has been such a big sticking point recently in the union negotiations with the WGA and with SAG-AFTRA, and it's been painted over the past year in kind of this negative light. Everyone remembers the ChatGPT stories that were breaking by reporters where essentially they felt scared talking to the things, and a lot of that is not hyperbolic, but there's a good portion that feels overblown, right? How is this movie going to navigate that? We're at war with the AI, but just from the premise alone that there's something more to that child, that weapon that the AI robots have had in their possession, and is supposedly the key to ending the war on either side. Obviously there's going to be a thematic point there where there's going to be a revelation by our main character that maybe I'm on the wrong side, maybe there are no sides. And they deal with that constant battle very, very well. I think that John David Washington has a few really great, funny moments in this. I think the comedic side of Washington's performance here works really, really well to kind of break that tension and to break that dreariness. But also the script is kind of weak. There were a couple of points in the movie that I felt like it was either a script or an editing problem, where the pacing just wasn't connecting for me, and you're supposed to have this grandiose feel, this larger-than-life feel because of this sci-fi epic. And unfortunately, because of those two things, where you're not feeling connected to the material because of the script or because of the editing, it kind of loses its way a little bit. But besides that, I mean, really, this is a fantastic movie, and I would recommend seeing it. It's less about AI and more about humanity and how we treat each other. Obviously, there's some undertones, the Western world versus the Eastern world, all of that. And so without all of that writing and without kind of the basic foundation of the film that we've seen a million times over again with how generic it is, I think it is a worthwhile movie to go see at the theater. You will be stunned at just how beautiful this movie looks on such a mid-sized budget. And I've got to mention too, Hans Zimmer's score is beautiful. It's beautiful. So I love everything on the production side of this movie. Just a couple of weak points, in my opinion, that kind of bring down the overall enjoyment factor a little bit, but still worth seeing.